All right, welcome back. Turn this down a little bit here. A little filter. Okay, so again, didn't get as much done today. I spent all morning getting motors boxed up and invoices printed and stuff sent out. So I didn't get out here till almost 3 o'clock. What I did was I went ahead and I made the equipment tray for the DLPH. That's just going to be one power system sitting there. All these wires will plug into this, and then I'll have 2 battery leads going forward, a switch, and the 2 leads for the receivers. The receivers will be somewhere in this area on the sides. Won't be around anything. You have one on each side, 2 receivers. And so that's in. I glued 2 little blocks on the front piece there, and then I made 2 little two little legs in the back, which I drilled holes in to kind of lighten them up. You know, weight's weight, man. These things fly better the lot you make them. So just little things. Glued those in, got it supported there with just 4 screws. So if I ever need to get in there and obviously get the tanks out, you know, the only issue I may run into is trying to get the tanks forward with those legs in there, but I can always remove those and, you know, cut them off and then like maybe put like a screw in to hold them, you know, or just replace them with something different in the future if I need to take the tanks out. But I can still get the tanks out and everything. It just will be a little bit harder. So I did that, and then I went ahead and I hooked up all the air lines up front here. So all that stuff's hooked up now. I moved this valve over, and excuse my little art eraser here. That's actually an eraser, but I'm using it to hold this in place. And I moved this over from here to here, changed the orientation, redid the lines a little bit here. I need to sand some of these sharp edges off so this doesn't get cut. But this way I can flip the switch as needed to lower the gear manually without any electrical power. This is the gear controller here with the pressure and everything. It controls the gear and the gear door sequencer and a fail-safe. I actually got the brakes plugged in here, so I don't have to run a line for the brakes back to the power system. It'll just go here, and then the one lead going from this to the receiver. And this is I'll trim this off, and that'll plug right in the top there for the pressure. That's just tied into teed into the main tanks. These are the 2 fill ports, and that's kind of what we're looking at. And then that tray will essentially be hopefully for batteries, or if I decide to mount, where's it at? It's right here. It's in my face. Oh, it's black. There we go. This is the controller for this EvoJet controller. It's just a little programming box that has the display on it. I did set this. I kind of played with the programming a little bit. I'm gonna do a video tomorrow on it once I kind of figure it out and can you know, get into the manual a bit better. But I did change the bar to PSI, and I also activated the light on there to do pressure. So you can have it do a few things, which I'll go over in the video tomorrow. But I set mine to pressure, and I set it to 100 psi. Just a quick thing here. I don't know what I'm eventually, you know, final PSI will be. But when you fill it up, it'll flash obviously, and then as you get closer to the PSI, it slows down, and then when you hit the PSI, the light goes solid. So I have a visual indication of pressure reading. So I don't technically need this. This will just be extra weight. It's not all that heavy. But it gives you a visual reading of the PSI, plus it's a programmer. But I probably won't use this. It'll just be, you know, once I'm done setting up, I'll use the visual method. That's kind of what I'm thinking anyways. So I'm just doing some shoe goop there to hold that in place and everything. Looks really neat. And then after I did that, I moved on to the chute deployment system, and you forgive me, I'm not going to show you much, but I put the G10 pieces that were supporting. There was a round one here, and then of course the one at the very end that moved in and out. I put those on my air cylinder for the speed brake. So I ditched that, not going to use that heavy thing with that crazy controller, which would require another battery, all this lead. So I just ran the 2 air hoses back here, and you can see, actually I have it connected. Give me 1 second here. Let's see. And it's kind of held in. This whole pod's held on with one of these 3mm screws, or M3 I should say. And look at that. I'm just unscrewing it here so I can pull the pod off and show you. And I'm going to post pictures on my Facebook page of what I actually did to the air cylinder. But you guys can see, got a little quick disconnect there. And what I did was essentially the same thing as this. It had a T in it with a rod that went through the carbon tube, or the fiberglass tube. I did the same thing with this. It's actually, there's a bulkhead here that whole piece screws to. The actual attachment point for the air cylinder is right past it. So, and that whole piece is held in with 2 screws. So it's going to be pulling against that bulkhead. And I did beef up this fiberglass where that rod goes through. I basically glued 2 G10 pieces that the rod goes through on both sides, and ran those down to the bulkhead. So you've got a little bit extra strength in that area, even though it's just essentially pushing the chute out. That's all it's doing, because the chute has these fish line, you know, the plastic covered wire that you'll run into the fuselage and attach somewhere. I'm probably going to attach it to this, like there's a big heavy duty bulkhead here, so I'll probably just attach it right here. Or you can run it forward and attach it to you know, something else. But anyway, so it'll just push it open, it'll pop out. That's a magnet, held by a magnet. So it'll push it out, and then of course, you know the rest, 2 chutes dangling in the wind. So that's where I'm at right now. Skeptical about Georgia, getting this done from Georgia, because it just takes too long. I don't want to rush it, but I'm working. You know, if I can knock it out and get it to a point where it's ready to roll, I'll take it with me. But I'm at that point. It's literally just hooking things up right now. So I spent too much time trying to figure out this DLPH2 and the Futaba gyro. I'm going to use a Futaba gyro for the first time and see how that goes, because you can just run it like one cable to it. But the DLPH2 has to be set to airplane gyro mode. It's defaulted to the dual RX. And when you do it like they say do it, and hook it to the back of the daggum radio, and you go to the actual DLPH2 menu, it tells you to connect it via S-Bus. When you hit recall, like you do a S-Bus servo, you hit recall, it basically pulls and activates the servo. It shows you all the things that you can change, and you do it right there. This isn't working, and I don't know what's up. I've got to check, go do some reading, you know, and see why it's not recalling this. So I queried a friend, so maybe he can help me out and figure it out, because I really want to use this. And from my understanding, you can have 2 receivers going RX1, RX2, and then this S-Bus 2 runs up to the S-Bus 2 port on this, and then all your servos just plug in here. So it works like a serial receiver, but it's a serial gyro, and you don't have to plug the receivers in here, you know, or vice versa. So, and that's kind of the setup right here. You know, DLPH. There's your 2 receivers, and then there's your gyro. And it says do not connect servos to the gyro. So your servos connect into the power system as normal, and then this will just provide input into the actual system. So it's kind of weird here. You've got an S-Bus and an S-Bus 2. So I think it depends on where you you hook, like you can go into the S bus, or you can go into the S bus 2. So I may try playing around a little bit. And I actually played with some of the menus in here, making sure this was set up already. But ooh, battery's about to die. So you guys, I'm gonna call it and get back tomorrow.